Really, our mission is bringing family and friends around the table. What is up, guys? Ryan Lane with Lane's Barbecue. It's another episode of At the Table.
Yep.
I got Jeremy here who is going to basically grill me on all the bad things that I say all the time. I'm just kidding.
Power of editing. You don't even have to see the light of day.
I never say anything wrong. Actually, the more you're with me, the more you realize that, like,
you're a knucklehead.
I say a lot of things that I probably shouldn't say. But thank you for joining us today. Normally you're behind the camera. So does this feel weird?
It definitely feels weird, but I mean, I talk to all our fans all the time on social and with you all the time.
Jeremy runs all of our social media channels. So most people will be like, Stacy's like, Ryan, we didn't have steak last night. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And she's like, well, people were asking me all day, like, how we made that stuff. And
I get it too. Yeah.
They need to talk to Jeremy because he just
that was 3 months ago. Yeah.
But that's it. Like, a lot of times that's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, she's like, we had butter noodles. And I'm like, yeah, but they were good. You know, like, that's pretty much it. You know, we're such boring eaters. Most of the time.
I'm sure.
Not really, but
I'll say we cook some good stuff.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. Well, what you got today?
So the main thing, I know last week, I thought this was a great conversation.
Yeah.
So last week we had a marketing meeting,
Yep.
and Jason brought up, he was very uncomfortable bringing this up, but I'm glad he did. He brought up
I'm always glad people bring up uncomfortable things.
He said, hey, I noticed in a podcast or in your cooking, you say this phrase and it makes me cringe because I think about it. It sounds bad.
Yeah.
And you do have a lot of little kind of sayings, little Ryanisms.
And most of the time I just say things because I'm hoping, it's probably my insecurities coming out. I'm hoping I can just get a laugh or two.
That's probably
You know what I
it,
mean?
yeah.
And I don't think about, like, what words actually mean sometimes.
So the phrase you say was, hey, we're just selling salt and sugar.
Yeah.
And, you know, he was like, I don't think that's what you're really meaning, but it's coming across. So I thought, like, explain like the heart behind maybe that
Absolutely.
phrase.
First of all, let's make sure Jason gets a copy of this since he's no longer with us.
That's right. Yeah. How dare him?
No, actually, Jason, I promise, is behind the camera now since Jeremy's here. So, but I would say I love the fact that it bothered him because that's not really the truth.
Right.
Like I left out a couple words, and the truth that what I mean is, it's more than just salt and sugar in a bottle. Like, the way that I see Lane's and our mission, and we can get into a little bit about, like, the recipes, like the flavor profiles that we create are amazing. And what we want is for you to truly be able to check out, not have to think about everything you're cooking, and just, like, let it be an experience.
Yeah.
But really, I think what I mean is, like, it's more than just salt and sugar in a bottle. Like, we want it to be community in a bottle. And, like, that's it. Like, that is our mission. Our mission is bringing family and friends around a table to share flavorful meals. Well, I can't flavorful.
Flavorful.
Yeah, flavorful meals. And, like, that doesn't just happen with salt and sugar in a bottle. And so there's so much more to it. But I'm super pumped that he said that, because a lot of times I just say things because I think it'll be funny, or it's like a quick little snippet, or but I think there is, like, if it was just salt and sugar in a bottle, we would not have put 10 years into this.
Yeah.
Like, it is so much more than that.
Yep.
And,
Even down to, like, I know, you know, even how we do things. I think of the shipping, like all the different things in the shipping department, like your heart, since day one I've been here, has been like, hey, I want everything they feel and touch, and when they get the package, when they get the email, like, I want them to feel like we're part of the family, man. We're with them as they're, like, sharing the food with their family.
I'll be honest, every day, like, I'm so just humbled by the fact that, like, people know our brand, people trust our brand, people spend their hard-earned money on our brand. And the way that I see it is, like, everything that we do, all the flavors that we design, actually most of the flavor profiles we design are because of our customers. They've reached out to us saying, like, oh my gosh, like, have you ever tried this or this? And so I think most of what we do, it all goes into that.
Yeah.
And that's really it, is like, if they're taking their time to follow us, to go on the website or go to like one of our local retailers that sells our products, even not local, even Australia, like wherever it is, spend their hard-earned money. Like it's tight right now.
It is.
Everyone is tight.
Yep.
And like to spend that money to like do the research, follow a recipe, watch a YouTube video or a clip, and just take the time and go into it. And then like post pictures, share a meal with their family, stop and email us just to tell them how thankful they are that they found our product. Like
it means
that
the world.
Blows my mind.
Yep.
And I think every decision we make comes from a like, it's harder when someone's ordering online.
It is.
And like, we don't get to look them in the eye and tell them thank you.
Yeah.
And so I'm always like, how can we do that?
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like, I don't care how many orders we have a day. Every order that goes out will have a handwritten
thank you note.
And it's not a big thing. Yeah. Like and I don't write them all anymore. You don't write them all anymore. Jason doesn't write them all. Meaning like, it's not like, it doesn't matter that I write it.
Yeah.
It's the fact that someone on the team is stopping for just a minute and saying like, hey, James, thank you so much for your order of Spellbound. Like, we hope you enjoy it. We wish you a blessed day. Like, it's just, that's it. Like, I think it's funny in the very beginning, like I'd write it and that would be my link to a customer.
Yeah.
And I remember Karen would be like, hey, this person ordered this. And I'm like, oh my God, they ordered chili lime last time. She's like, how do you know that? And I was like, because I wrote them a thank you card.
Yeah.
And I think as you do that, it like imprints them in your head.
Yeah.
And that means like now we're sitting at the table with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think that's the biggest thing for me.
I remember when I first started, I would be looking through the social media, like DMs or comments, and I'd say, hey, this guy, like he said he's talking to you like you know him, and you're like, oh, I do know him. I said, where'd you meet? And he was like, it's online. Like, well, we chat all the time. And I think of Russ Welch. Like we have a few guys like Russ Welch. We talk with Russ. I swear, like he's like my uncle.
Weekly.
Because I talk to Russ so much. But he always, even just yesterday, he sent pictures of this big, huge smoker that him and like his I think he works with a bunch of kids. Yeah. That they were smoking over the weekend, and he loves Garlic Square.
Yeah.
And he was,
him and his son they're huge in the Scouts.
Yes. Yeah.
So like they're at like scouting events all the time.
We always know about it, but it's so cool to see that he's like, he'll always send a picture of him and his son, or like the location, and then like the meal. And so like I truly feel drawn in. Like, man, I'm like here with them and the family. And so like, it is truly cool, like, because I see stuff like that, and I think it is more than just salt and sugar, because we're a part of this guy's weekend experience, what he's doing in life, and I love that. I wish more people would reach out. Wink, wink. Would reach out and just talk to us.
Yeah, and it's not just Russ; it's hundreds, which is crazy. Like it'll be like a Sunday, and I know for my family, I should probably apologize for this, but like, fact is, I'm locked in. Like. This is my third child, you know? But it'll be a Sunday and I'll get an email and it'll be like, hey, whoever's reading this, I just want to tell you like how amazed I am. Like I saw this on a TV show or I saw it and I ordered it and I was really skeptical and I got it and it's changed the way I cook. Yeah. And I'll like respond right away. And immediately they respond, they're like,
someone's actually reading this?
Wait, what? You got this?
Yeah.
And you responded? I'm like, every time you email me, I will respond. Because the fact is, you took the time, like out of your day to let us know. And I'm like, I can't wait to share this with the team. Yeah. Because like everything here's the thing, small business is hard. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like it is tough. And it's even harder as you're growing. And like, it was easy. I say it was easy. When it was just me, and it was just me and a smoker and I could just cook stuff. Like I could serve someone, see their reaction right away. And now like I see your reaction, and like it gets hard as it grows, but like it's nonstop. Yeah. Like what we do, like it's hard to shut it off. And I think it's hard to shut it off because everyone on this team, like cares about the person like that's using the product.
Yeah.
And that's why I really say like it is community in a bottle, whether that be in Australia, if in Florida where Russ is, like, you know, we work with so many people. Like we went to an event it was probably last September. It was W Sauce put it on.
Oh yeah. I love this story. If I think you're gonna tell it.
Well, it was amazing. Like I remember when Burton called and he's like, "Hey man, we're gonna do this event," and I was like, "Yes." He's like, "Well, do you want me to tell you what the event is?" I was like, "No, I don't care what it is." Yeah. He's like, "Do you want me to tell you where it is?" I'm like, "Sure, tell me where it is." And he's like, "It's gonna be in Key West." I was like, "Double yes, like we're in."
Easy.
And he's like, "All right, cool. I got you guys down. You can have, I think 3 or 4 people is how many we could have like on our boat." And I remember I hung up and I texted you and Brandon. So Brandon's been with us for probably 8 years. He's one of our wholesale sales guys, but he loves to fish. He loves barbecue. Like he is our brand, like just walking around.
Right.
And I remember thinking like, this is crazy. And then it was a couple weeks later and I talked to Bert and he's like, "Man, you're going to be so excited. Like Matt Pittman's going to be there. Heath Riles, Cosmos, Bama. Like, and I was like, oh my gosh. Like these are all like my heroes.
Yeah.
Like guys that like we follow online. Like I text them all the time. Like just because at the end of the day, I'm also a fan of like our industry.
Yeah.
Like I absolutely, because it is a community. I love this. And I remember getting there. And we flew in, and actually on the plane, we were with, who were the
RC Ranch guys.
Yeah, the RC Ranch guys. We'd never met them before, and it was like we instantly became friends. Yeah. And these are like Wagyu, like they're ranchers, you know, but we learned so much about them in like, you know, an hour and a half flight. And we finally get there, we check in, and it was cool. My brother got to come with us, which was a really cool experience. And we get to the hotel and we check in and we get in and we go to like this little happy hour thing. And I remember walking in and I was like, everyone is here.
It was crazy.
And there was a table and it was like Cosmos, Heath Riles, Blazing Star Barbecue. Like I was like, awesome, oh my gosh, I haven't met any of these guys. And none of them in 10 years. Like we just haven't been in the same rooms.
Yeah.
And I remember I walked up to the table and I was like, what's up? Like I was so excited. Like I was almost like a kid in a candy store.
You definitely were. Yeah.
And it was just so exciting. And I think the relationships, I felt like I already knew all of them.
Yeah.
And it was cool just to hang out all weekend long with them. But I don't even know where I was going with that. But except to say like, it is community.
Yeah.
Like that's why we exist.
Right.
We exist to be a platform to help people like have fellowship. Yeah. And that's it.
Yep. And I don't know if you remember, I thought you were going with this story. So I teared up when we were, so we did the competition piece at the Key West thing. God, and I teared this lady and her family came up.
Yeah. They own an Ace Hardware in Florida.
I teared up just listening to them talk to you.
Yeah. And I like,
this goes straight to the like
I would
more
normally
than
be able to remember her name, but now that
I know
like
it's been a while. Yeah.
But I remember her coming up and it was her and her husband and like her
I think so.
Son, maybe?
Son. Yep.
And she's like, "Hey, are you Ryan?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Do you have a couple minutes?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely. We're not doing anything. We're just hanging out barbecue, you know?" And I remember, like, she basically said, like, "You guys helped us in, like, bringing fellowship back to our table. Yeah. Like, you know, we have the store. We started following, like, all the stuff that you did on social media. And, like, it was more than just a seasoning."
Yeah.
And like that to me was like the
wasn't there something with her dad? Like she like
yes.
Like I think he maybe had passed.
I think something like that. And they were all coming back together.
Yeah.
God, there's so much going on.
Yeah, there was. That was, man, I remember that was really impactful to go like, okay, like we're selling products, but our products linked her to her father, to family. And like,
which is really our whole mission. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I think it was a certain rub and it reminded her of the way her dad cooked. That's exactly what it was. Normally we would plan for this and we'd be like, but I think that's what I love about this.
Yeah.
I remember being so taken back though. Like, oh my gosh, that was never, it's a great thing that it happened, but it's not our intention.
Right.
But I think to be able to put a name and a face,
It was very
and
meaningful.
an experience.
Yeah, it made the
with
trip for me. I just remember that one moment, like, really made the trip for me.
Yeah, it wasn't me trying to like float on the water, swimming down to the bottom, which I don't know if I'll be invited back. I suck at lobster diving.
Oh,
I'm like lobster floating,
yeah,
and
that
then
was rough.
order one at the store.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was an awesome experience.
it was an awesome experience. Yeah.
awesome experience. Well, maybe I answered the question.
I think so, 100%.
Yeah.
Like,
Ultimately, there are seasonings,
Yep.
right? And we didn't actually get into like how the seasonings are kind of developed.
yeah, I mean, so like, you know, as far as being more than just like, we take our time with this stuff. This is not rushed. I remember when we worked with Tim,
Yep.
it took us 8 to 9 months, I
Yeah.
think, going back and forth. And like, we love, like, Tim's a family to us.
Yeah.
Like, and so like, we wanted it to be right. And so we didn't, like, we were like, if you just have even a slight, like, we're
Yeah.
back to the drawing board. We're going again. And then even right now, Caleb, I know, is working on like 4 flavors,
Yeah.
kind of limited edition things that we're thinking through, and we're, I don't know, 3-4 weeks already into a few. Oh no, 3-4 months into a couple of them,
Yeah.
and then, you know, weeks in another. We got a big release coming soon, and so we're testing them out this week. You know, and
To
so
get it right,
Yep.
it's such a balance.
Yeah.
Like it really is. Like it can be too salty,
Yep.
or you can think it's too salty, but then once you cook with it, you realize some of that salt fades out.
Yeah.
And so it's just finding this
Same with the
balance
heat.
of
The heat
same
drives me
way.
crazy. I love the way the heat, and then all of a sudden you put it on protein, the heat fades.
Yeah,
You know?
there's so many different things that go into it, and that's what I don't think people really understand.
no way.
Is like the research and development.
Yeah.
Like we go through so many different versions. I always say like one of really the last seasonings that I was like hands-on involved in was Kunami. And it was when Brian and I were still like mixing rubs at my house.
Yeah.
And so it was funny. Like Brian would get there at like 7 a.m. The kitchen would turn into the mixing room.
Yeah.
The office was like storage, and the dining room was like label central. And like I remember we had to get it all cleaned up before Stacy and the kids got home, because like we had to live there too. And so, but I remember, and really my idea behind it is, excuse me, I want them, like I want the ingredients to be clean. I want you to be able to read every ingredient on the back. Our thing is like, we want you to know exactly what's in it.
Yep.
We're not going to tell you like the ratios, but like we want you to know what's in it. We want you to be able to read it. There's so many food allergies and things going on, and we want to make sure you understand what's in it. And I remember we were gonna put some powder in Kunami, and I was like, "Brad, just like I don't understand the ingredients in this, and so I don't want to do it." And he's like, "All right, but it's good," and I'm like, "It is." He's like, "But you're right. Let's figure out something else." And we found this togarashi. It's like a Japanese 5-spice or Chinese 5-spice blend, and I remember thinking like, it's 5 spices. They tell us exactly what the spices are. This is going to be perfect. And the design behind it was for seafood. Like that was it. Like, how do you, like, we wanted to make an Asian inspired seafood rub, which I will say it's amazing on seafood, but
you nerd out so much on Kunami. Like
it's
your favorite.
I think it is going to be the number one selling
good.
seasoning. Like you guys, we need your help. But I think more people need to try it because it's amazing. He's actually somehow related. But Lee Kennedy, one time he came into the shop. It was in Bethlehem right after Kunami had come out. And he's like, listen, he's like, have you ever used Kunami on steak? I'm like, no, I use it on seafood because that's what we designed it for. And he's like, he's like,
change the label, put
it
on the steak.
Steak. And I was like, okay. And I remember I ran to Stripling's that day, grabbed a filet and brought it home, and I cooked it on, and I was like, my world has been changed. In fact, now so much that you guys have to
tell you no
Ryan,
Kunami.
You can't put Kunami on a steak. Let's try something else. But I think that's why our tagline was keep experimenting.
Yeah.
Like, had he never said that, like I wouldn't have tried it, which is what I love. Like when our customers text us and
all
the
like, time,
email us, they're like, hey, have you tried Kunami on eggs? And I'm like, wait, I haven't.
Yep.
I'm so used to putting on steak now that so
spellbound on peanut butter and
bananas. crunchy peanut
Yeah,
butter.
or even Tyler, like Tyler Grillin' Daddy, like he injects his chicken with one-legged chicken sauce. Like like it's
Which
so
is
fun to
amazing.
watch. Yeah.
I would encourage you guys, like if you're listening to this and there's something special that you and your family like cook, or like a meal that y'all love to share, or a different way that you use the seasoning than maybe like we kind of tell you to.
Share it with us. Yeah.
Email us, text us,
Social
DM
media.
through social media, comment on this podcast. I think sometimes, and I think families do this too, you just get in a routine. Like Monday night's going to be
Spaghetti
lasagna.
night.
You know what I mean? Like all these different things. And I think social media, it can be rough, but it can also be a gift. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it can get us outside of our box.
Absolutely.
And so that's what I would encourage you guys to do. You know, check out our recipes, check out our competition. Like, I'm probably like, and I probably shouldn't even say this, but I'm probably like Meat Church's biggest fan.
You are.
Like,
your undershirt is a Meat Church shirt.
I know. Well, I love that. Like, I love what like Matt does.
Yeah.
Like, I think his marketing abilities are amazing. And the fact is he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
And so like,
he's so laid back.
People
too,
just drawn to him.
Yeah, it's just,
you know,
it's easy.
But I think there's so much room for all of us in this industry. And I'm super thankful. It's funny when so Paul and Brandon, our sales guys, sometimes they'll come and they're like, hey, I'm working on trying to get into this store. And I'm like, who's on their shelves? And if they're like, well, it's just Big Green Egg spices, I'm like, I don't know that's going to be a best fit for us. And the truth is, I want to be on the shelves. I think the reason why I was so excited about Academy Sports is when I was talking to them and they were like, you know, we're excited to have you come be in. And I'm like, who all is on the shelves? And he was like, it's Meat Church, it's Hardcore Carnivore. Jess has been awesome just to work with throughout the years. Heath Riles, Whiskey Bent Barbecue. So Chad was in there.
Malcolm Reed.
And I was like, those are the stores that we do the best in.
Yeah.
Like when and like they're selling their stuff too. But I think it's a different buyer. Like the person coming in is a hardcore like backyard guy or girl. Like it doesn't really matter. Like we want to be in the backyard and the kitchen.
Yeah.
And so I think that's like competition, I think, just breeds excellence.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's it. Like, you know, and if you look at my pantry, I've got so many different things in there just because I'm a fan of cooking. And it's not just about this brand. Right. It is about this brand. The fact is, this brand is what will allow payroll to be in the account on Friday.
And feed your children. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. So I love it. Yeah. I love the competition part. I love just the other companies that are in our industry. Yeah. I have a lot of people that reach out and be like, we were doing a Dude Perfect thing.
Yeah.
And one of the ladies there was like, do you know Hardcore Carnivore? And I'm like, yeah, I was just talking to her last week. And she's like, wait, isn't that your competition? I'm like, yes, that's my competition. Yeah. But like, we work with our competition as much as we can. Like, you know, we did that House Divided thing.
Yeah, that was
fun. A few times we're working with other companies. I think that we all have so much we can learn from each other. Yeah. And ultimately, it's more than salt and sugar in a bottle. Like, we are selling so much more than that. Oh, yeah. And so, like, Jason, I will watch what I say. In another week, he'll be like, dude, why'd you say this? But that's okay. So answer your question.
We ran a little rabbit trail, but like I think
that's what we do. That's what we do. All right, guys. Well, listen. The goal is to kind of do a few of these every now and then, just to kind of answer some of the questions that we get. So send us the questions. Send us your comments. Make sure you like, follow, share. Like, tell all your friends about it. We're not going to do any advertising. Like, we want this just be a conversation between us and with you guys. So, hey, check it out. We'll see you soon.